today is very, very simple. I'm going to show you my exact framework so you can understand why I take trades and not just copy my alerts. And I'm going to keep this pretty structured. So after each segment, I'll pause for questions and then we can move on. So let's start with the agenda, session agenda, so everyone knows exactly what we're covering. So we already had our intro, and then we're gonna go over our framework overview. We got our little arsenal, our chart toolkit, parts 1 and 2, and then we also have our entry model, and I'll show you guys a live example, and then we'll take a little short Q&A break. I'll show you the proof of trades and exits, and then we'll wrap it up and do a final Q&A to end the session. Sound fair enough? All right, all right. Let's start this. So, as always, there's going to be a disclaimer, right? So, this is for educational purposes only. This is not financial advice and not a trade recommendation. So, you know this. Trading has risks. You can lose. Past results really don't guarantee anything. So, now that that's out of the way, let's talk framework. Here's our framework. And here's why, I focus on NDX and how this model works. So an opening range, and it's European style. So as you guys have seen, if you guys trade SPY QQQ, sometimes they'll close out your assignments and sell it like 15, 30 minutes prior to market close. So this is European style. And also there's favorable tax treatment, a 60-40 rule. So 60% of it is treated as long-term gain, and 40% of it is treated as capital gains. Um, so that's according to Section 1256. Okay, so my model is built on three pillars. We have structure first. So I trade the index structure. I don't trade noise. We trade the opening range break or the opening range in general, and then the key levels define the day. And then VWAP really confirms timing. We always have defined risk. So every trade has an invalidation before I enter. I size it, I cap it. I don't just go in and just be like, well, I think it's going to go up and then hold and hold and hold. This is why we have rule based exits. So if you have rule based exits, there's no guessing. You're going to protect your green days and you're going to limit all your red days that you have. You'll start taking profit into strength, then trail the rest with rules. So now that we have framework overview, we're going to go over our chart toolkit. Oh, and if you're new, and if you're completely brand spanking new, VWAP is basically the market's fair price for the day, and it's weighted by volume. So if we're above what's called VWAP, buyers are in control. And if we're below VWAP, then sellers are in control. And then if we're ranging, in the center, just if it touches it, it's going to reject, or if it goes above it, it's going to immediately pump up. It's none of that. So right now we're going to move on to the toolkit, what's on my chart and what each thing means. All right. So here are some key indicators and timeframes that I use. So key indicators. We're gonna have our own VWAP, Buckwheat's VWAP. We're gonna have key levels by Spaceman BTC. It basically shows you, the mid-range, previous 4 hour high, previous 4 hour low. It's gonna show you previous weeks high, previous week's low. So it just shows you all these key levels without you having to draw them out or fill up your chart as it keeps recycling. We have C Blast's BT cloud to see what you know where we're going as a trend. If trend flips, and if trend is flipping, obviously you're gonna want to follow what the trend is. For dailies and 4 hours and weeklies, I use 50 and 200 MA to see where exactly we are going and where we at uh, when trading macro. And then obviously we're going to use Trade Echo Algo Edge. This is super important. Many of you have seen Dark Horse go over it. You've seen Sea Blast go over it. Many of you are already like familiar with it. So nothing new there. And then our bread and butter is trading the opening range. Now for time frames, because I know a lot of people ask me, what the heck is your time frame? What do you guys use? So I'll go over this pretty clearly. The 1 minute, I'm always going to be using it while the opening range is forming, but I don't use it to make decisions. So after the opening range is set, after the first 15 minutes, I start to use the 5 minute. That's my primary confirmation time frame. It gives less noise, gives less like if you're trading in the 1 minute, you're gonna see all these candles. You're gonna see keep tapping, going below VWAP, and that's just gonna mess with your mental. So 5 minute is more clear, more structured, and gives you clarity. And for the 15 minute, that's more for if I'm checking the structure and key levels and then seeing what trend is doing. Works really well with the BT cloud. Um, I always have my daily support and resistant levels, and then to clarify about what some people have asked. So whenever I say closes above VWAP, or that happens after opening range break is set, I'm usually talking about the 5 minute time frame, since that's my primary signal time frame, and that's usually the 5 minute close. I do that specifically to eliminate, like I said, the noise that the 1 minute creates. And then opening range is everything for me. It gives you so much information on what the day structure is going to be. So I'm not trying to trade into chaos, because literally, like, the first 5, 15, 20 minutes even is chaotic. At least volume and volatility, you know, chills out for a bit. You're not just throwing yourself into a river, so that you can actually swim. And you always want the market to show its hand first. So you want to see if buyers are in control or sellers are in control. And sometimes you'll catch a lucky move where, man, you might get lucky. Sometimes it's just one directional all day. But even those days, I still wait the first 15 minutes, because there's always going to be a pullback. Um, so now let's break down the entry model, criteria, and checklist. So here's the entry model, and I always need confirmation and confluence, not just random touches on the VWAP. So here's some confirmation signals that I actually look for. Number one, price reclaims VWAP with momentum. Price stays parallel to the VWAP, so it's not chopping through it. You got to have a little bit of direction. Oftentimes, you'll see a volume spike on the entry candles. And then if option flow is aligned with direction from algo edge, that just gives me great confirmation of, like, okay, I need to be in this trade. Once I enter, here's the entry criteria. I need to have a clear higher time frame bias, usually the 5 and the 15-minute time frame. I gotta have defined support and resistance levels. And man, I gotta at least have two confirming signals. I'm not just blindly trading. Or one of my problems before when I first joined was just randomly following trades I had no clue about, randomly jumping in, and being like, okay, well, this person knows what they're doing, or I'll follow this person, and then I don't know how to enter a bid and ask, exit. I didn't have any rules, any entry or risk parameters, and literally no exit plans in place. And I was getting whipped left and right. It was almost like the market, like I owed the market money. Many of you guys are saying I can't hear. Can you guys confirm if you guys can hear me? I got you clear. Okay. Okay. Perfect. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have gone through that where you're jumping in and you get swept and your stop loss gets hit. If you have a stop loss, but let's be real, many of us didn't have stop losses before getting whipped. And so this is why I have these entry models so that you're not blindly following. You're not blindly following me, C Blast or Dark Horse or Steel or even Malts. This is why you got to have your own rules in place. Let's say I do see Blast trading, and I really like his trade, and it aligns with my entry model. I'm hopping on that. By all means, money is money. You know what I mean? I'm not just gonna just let it happen or just watch it go away. If it aligns with my levels and it aligns with my risk, I'm going in. So I always trade, as you guys can see, within the first 2 hours of session, and I'm usually in and I'm usually out. That's the best model for me. I know some of you guys trade all day until market closes. Occasionally I'll pop in, but the best moves usually happen the first 2 hours. Now I could be wrong, but it just works for me, and absolutely no chasing. And risk. Let's talk about risk parameters because risk is non negotiable. Look, I know my max loss before I click buy. I know my stop is based on structure, not the percentile. I'm at least aiming for a 1-2 risk to reward, and I'm never averaging down. Unless it's a freaking good trade and I know it's amazing, but rarely. You like probably like 50, like 49 out of 50 times I'm never averaging down. Stir Chef, yes, I'm going to show you a live example right here. So I believe I can switch this. How do I switch this? Um, I'm like an old man. How do I switch this? Hold on. Huh. It's not like regular. Okay, let me just reset this then. Huh. Here we go. Give me 1 second. Um, Sorry, I'm still trying to figure. I've never done stages, and it's different from regular calls. So I'm just trying to figure this out. Okay. I got it. I think. All right. Let me know if you guys can see this. I don't know if it does it automatically or not. Alt tab. All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. So here's an example of market open. So this was on Friday. Okay. So as we see, market opens right here, Friday, 6 at 6:30 a.m. Well, it's 9:30 for y'all in the East Coast. Um, so once market opens, we wait the first 15 minutes. You can see that the opening range high is right here at 24,700, and then the opening range low is right here at 24,593. So we kind of range back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you can see our VWAP is already in place. It's anchored to the morning. So after basically 30 minutes of the market open, it jumped up, came straight back down on the 5 minute. And so that was a failed opening range breakout. It did close above, but then it opened and closed back down below the opening range high. Come back, retest it, break out. We have a little bit of momentum. Come down. We don't quite touch VWAP, so I don't get in. We go back up over here. We're kind of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, up until we finally touch VWAP. Now this is where I'm most interested because before we didn't hit any levels over here. And so this is where I got really interested in getting into calls. And you might be thinking like that's all he does for, looking at his chart. Yeah, pretty much. It's super simple. I just wait until we get a little bit of price action around the VWAP. Now, look at this. This is our setup. So NDX pulls back into the VWAP confluence. I believe this one has this days right here or low day. Yeah, it had okay, so I had the confluence right here. We had the low day from the morning, and we also had the regular VWAP. So we did go below both of those. We come back up. We have like an almost a hammer candle. I think it is a hammer candle on the 3 minute. And so we have buyers down here that stepped up and bought it up. So NDX pulls back to VWAP confluence, and our bullish bias is on the 5 minute because we end up closing above it. We come down, we tap it again. This is where I enter because it tapped it, bounced off of VWAP. So I buy on the 5 minute candle and we close above VWAP with volume confirmation. And that was pretty much it. And that's how I entered one of my Friday's calls. And you look over here and how much it just went up. And usually I will exit above high of day. This is normally one of my key levels. And sometimes it will just keep bumping up. So let's go back to trading execution model because I have more live examples that I'll be going over. It's not over yet. I just wanted to show you that trade from Friday. Yeah, but I also took it on my other account. Let's see. All right. So now that we're back on, and that short live entry example, quick and easy. Did it cut out for you guys? Okay. So if you guys have any questions, drop them in chat. I know you guys were asking me questions a little bit before, but we have our Q&A break, so I'm able to take some questions now. What are the different VWAP lines? So VWAP lines, there's different ones on the chart. So let me actually pull up my chart again. Um, that way you guys can ask me questions directly on that. Sorry, I keep going back and forth. I'm just really, oh, here we go. I found it. Okay, easy. Okay. So different VWAP lines. So right here, here's our indicator, right? So basically, we have our regular VWAP. So like I said, this is basically the quote unquote fair market price. So they're anchored to different points. So we'll just go one by one. So upon New York session open, we have our New York VWAP, which starts at 6:30. Starts at the open. So it will closely follow price. You can see that it was super choppy right here, but price went really freaking high. So price was more expensive, and VWAP, was telling us that this is the fair market value right here. And since it was more open, more open, more open, and up in range, we could see that once we fell into VWAP, this is where we had that fair value. So once we had that fair value in price, it came back up and it skyrocketed because this is where buyers stepped in. And this is what institutions use mainly when buying up stocks. So we have the New York session VWAP, and then we also have the previous day. So this is what the different line is as well. So this is linked to Thursday morning. So just like the New York VWAP on this day, we also have it on the previous day. And this basically shows us price continuation on the VWAP. You can see that we actually stayed below yesterday's VWAP. Eventually, I believe we caught it. Did we ever catch it in the day? Here, let me turn off free play. No, we never caught it. We always stayed below previous day's VWAP. So that one was pretty much irrelevant. Not You don't have to use it every single day because sometimes it's just noise. We also have started session VWAP, which anchors to Asia session, and you can also. So if I go to, because NDX doesn't have Asia session, so if I go to ES, right, you can see that it anchors to the start of Asia session, which is at 3 o'clock for me. So what is that? 6 o'clock New York. Eastern Standard Time. You can see the VWAP during the Asia session slash overnight session. And sometimes it's relevant, but I don't use it that often. Just some people trade overnight. And then we have our high of day VWAP, which anchors to the highest point of the day. And this one's very good if you want bullish confirmation that we go higher. And if we're below it, then it's not really ideal to keep buying up calls unless we break above it. You can see that right here we had our anchor and we stayed below it until we broke out, and it ended up not closing above it on the 5 minute, I believe. Oh no, it did. So we stayed above it quite some time, but we just kept playing around it before breaking out a little bit. So yesterday obviously wasn't that strong of a like buying day. We just kind of stayed in a sideways motion, and then we have our low of day VWAP, which same thing as the high of day. We go to the lowest point, and this one's really good for shorts, especially if we break below it. You can see right here we kept bouncing off of it, bouncing off of it, bouncing off of it, bouncing off of it before eventually closing below it, and then we stayed below it, stayed below it. But if you bought calls right here, it's also a great time to trim some profits once we break above it and close above it. And then we come down, stay above here, come down, stay above, and then we broke it like we broke it again, and we broke both VWAPs. We broke the low day, and the New York VWAP came below and dumped at the end. Let's see. We have the start of the year and then the high of year VWAP. And this one is really good if you're going to like the daily, just like the regular other ones. So you'll see the pattern. You'll see how staying above and staying below certain VWAPs plays as key levels as a dynamic support and resistance zone. Let me actually turn off my 200 MA 50 so that you guys can see. Maybe turn off BT Cloud. Now that price is clear and you guys can see the actual VWAPs right here. So remember, um, we have the pink as the start of the year, anchored to January 2nd. And then we also have, uh, do we have the hell? I don't know why does it show the first. I don't think it was a holiday at though. Anyways, so it's at the first of the year, and then we also have the high of year VWAP. These play really good roles. Same thing with just the shorter session, just like trading in general. Everything's pretty much the same. Micro, macro, it's just what you trade and how you trade it. We stayed below it pretty much every single time. Every time we try to break out, we just end up going lower. Every time we break out, try to go lower. And this is exactly what's happening. But then we also bounce from these levels right here. Right now, it's kind of unpredictable. I really don't know what the hell price is doing. But yeah, I haven't really been taking calls as much as I should be, unless the day looks good. We've been ranging, so anytime we get like a breakdown, there's usually a pump. We get a breakdown, there's usually a pump, and we get a breakdown, there's usually a pump. But right now, we just been whew, kind of in chop zone. So that's pretty much the different colors and what I use. Okay, so let's see. Show chat. Let's see. Do you look for a fair value gap? I have no clue what that is. Um, Can you go over yesterday's trade? Yes, I'll go over yesterday's trade in a bit. You don't look at IV and gamma. I do look at IV and I do look at GEX levels. And then how do you trade stop? So I'll go over that in a bit. And where in the 5 minute do you execute and how do you set order while it's moving? That's a question. There's already like for options, I'll look at the delta. And with the delta on the contracts, it'll usually tell me what I want to get into. Sometimes they'll be really expensive, and sometimes I'll have to opt in for a smaller delta. Like usually I'll just go for 0. 0.3, but if it's too expensive, I'll opt in for like a 0.198 or something. And then while it's moving, how do I set an order? Um, you'll look at the bid and ask, and sometimes you'll get lucky, especially if you see like, okay, like it's closed below the VWAP twice, technically 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. So once we see right here where we're on the 2 minute, because I'm not using the 5 minute to just be like, okay, like I'm gonna take this trade now. I use the 2 minute to actually use the executions. So if we look at the 2 minute, we kind of range right here. We keep getting sold off. We sold off after we hit the low day, came back up, but we always wanted to stay above. You can see how hard the bottom of these candles are. So already I'm putting in my order. I'm like, okay, here's the risk to reward. You really don't know um, where price is going to go, even if you have your levels. It's just the game of probabilities. So while I'm setting my order, I'll hit execute and try to alert it immediately, and price will shoot up. And that's just how trading is. Sometimes you'll get great entries and sometimes you'll get shitty entries. I'm not perfect, sometimes I might get it above here, but that's what the contracts gave me. This is why doing market orders is probably one of the worst things you could do, especially with NDX. You'd never want to touch NDX. with market orders. They'll just give you super high fills, and you'll be like -10, -20% even. Don't ask me how I know. But always limit your orders, and you'll see what price is. Like if it's ranging right here in price is like $3,000 per contract, and it's bouncing off of here back and forth, you'll set your order at 3,000, and then eventually it'll just pop off. Um, what would have been the invalidation of the Friday trade? So I'll go over that in a bit. You pros seem to buy at the perfect time, laugh aloud. Yeah, not always. Do you use Fibonacci like C blast? Yeah, actually, I swing trade a lot. So with the swing trades and the long term position, I go over Fibonacci, and I'm more of a nerd about it. Like I'm a super nerd with the Fibonacci zones, and I also pair that with the Elliott wave theory, which is probably the best combo. Pair that with the 50 and 200 MA, and maybe I can go over that one time. But in this one, we're just gonna stay on topic. If price moves too much away from VWAP, does it revert back mostly to VWAP? So above VWAP is bullish, but if too far, would that return to VWAP? Calling to be sure at too much above. Okay, I think I get what you're saying. Uh, so it depends on what type of VWAP you're looking at, and it depends on what the day is looking like. Let's look at a more clearer day with mm, better price action before that jump up. Um, let's just go right here. Okay, so on this one, you can see that it pretty much moved away from VWAP many times. Like by 7:30, we're already at 6815, and many of you will be like, "Okay, this is way too far," but that's okay because most of the times you'll see that it keeps bouncing back to VWAP. And I'm not making this shit up. Like you guys can see it for yourselves right here that this is the fair value of the ticker for the day, fair price, and you can see that it keeps getting sold off. Like we'll buy right here, sell off, buy over here, sell off. Just keep selling off, and then eventually we'll consolidate for a bit, and then we stay above low day. We cross high of day VWAP, and then we also cross New York VWAP. You can see it bounces off uh, pretty much almost perfect, and it's weird. And so I guess yeah, it does retrace back to it. Why did you not take a trade when the price went up? Um, could you give me a little bit more context? Can you go over Monday, Tuesday trades? Yeah, I'll go over some of the trades I took in a bit. NDX moves fast. Sometimes the price moves away from the alert fill. How do you enter when bid and ask is moving fast? Just enter a market. No, never enter a market. Like I said, like usually if you see price like going to a certain level, you got to time it. Like you're never gonna know what price is gonna go down to, but you just gotta, you know, you gotta you kind of have to guess, or you guys gotta have like a little limit order where you're gonna enter. Sometimes the price will go a little bit lower than what you set it as, but I don't chase these parts right here. I don't try to time the bottoms. I I literally wait for confirmation. If we bounce off of here once and then we come back up, and let's say it's coming up over here, the second time, I'm most likely going to buy, especially if it is a close above the 5 minute. You can see it close above, immediately drop down. And then that was my clue. Like, okay, I'm going to freaking buy over here. Obviously, we're not going to time that. But guess what? We're not looking for the tap of VWAP. We're looking for the bounce or the retrace. Goes up here, comes back down. That's where I'm entering. This is the best entry you can possibly get on shorts. Comes down, you short it, you short it, you short it. You get your entry, you make your profits. I trail it with the 2 minute. Um, so every 2 minutes, I'm literally like going with the stop limit order and having it here. But you'll see that you can get stopped out right here. Keeps going down, you'll get stopped out right here, or you almost get stopped out right here. But I always trail it with my 2 minute. Can you show your indicator on a particular stock as well? Sure. Just let me know which one. You have your opening range set to 9:30 to 9:45. Yes, the first 15 minutes of session order. Do you trade off of the trading view? Only on futures, because I got moved up to live. I don't know how, but I guess I was decent enough. I find it so hard to execute entries and get filled with the decent price. If you set a limit order, it always doesn't fill. Price moves too fast. Yeah, it depends on the day. Like if you're in a chop zone like this, you'll probably get filled um, better. But if you're in volatile environments like this, like you're competing against other people trying to get filled as well. The fair value gap is price imbalance for market moves too fast, so traders expect price to. Okay, okay. Let's see. The what? Which Torah? Using yesterday's chop, can you go through the day and talk puts and calls where you would have entered and call or entered and scaled? Um, well, yesterday we did catch a move, and I think I have it on my. Yeah, I do have it. Let me see. Sorry, I was looking at something right now. Friday, right? Let's see. Okay, let's just go over yesterday's trade on SPX. Buckwheat VWAP doesn't show. Same as yours. If you could send me a screenshot, we'll go over it. Okay. So this is how I traded the chop. So I guess we'll do it on this candle right here. Okay, before I go over this, let me read some more of the questions because there's like 20 messages, so I'm catching up. Can you help understand that if your indicator for high starts, does it mean it won't go higher anymore and similarly lower? Does it mean I wait till the high day line or low day line to show off play? Okay, so you can see that low day is anchored right here. Um, it's not telling you that it won't go below. It'll just tell you that there's a chance of it bouncing from it, like a rebound. Um, so on the slow day, you can see that it sloped up. We kind of chopped above it, came below it. This is this wouldn't be a bad entry for shorts, but still, this isn't confirmation, especially if you're on the 5 minute. It wouldn't be good enough for entry. You also got to look at option flows as well. Like if you pair all your tools together, you'll get a better understanding of what price wants to go. So we came back up above VWAP. We broke above low day VWAP with strength. So yeah, it can go higher from what the low day is. Like usually I'll take shorts if we're below low of day, and I'll take calls if we're above the high of day VWAP. So blue, if we stay above it, that means buyers are in. Let's see. You can see that the cloud starts flipping with Chris. So this is why I like to compliment Chris's um, indicator because his indicator actually works really freaking well with our indicator. And you can see that trend started flipping green, but the time that we actually scooped down over here before trend started changing, we broke below the day VWAP and we started coming back up. We bounce off of the New York VWAP. Okay, my indicator shows only one line. Your two, can you go over the settings? No, no, never mind. All good. Okay. Oh geez, yeah, I enter at market very often. Yeah, that's gonna screw you over. Based on your chart, the price went above the VWAP. It was significant green candles about 15 minutes after the market opened. Why didn't you take a trade there? I just didn't have any confirmation. It wasn't very. It was just not a trade I would have taken. Buck, you have a super high win rate for this past week, like a 90% win rate. Would you say this can be expected going forward? Did you have a great week? Um, I just stick to my rules. I just stick to whatever I do. I'm not really worried about the win rate because I've met a lot of traders that are at 30%, 40% even. and dude, they're fucking making millions. They're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single month, and they'll have a 40% win rate. Now, I don't know what the heck they're doing, but it works for them. It doesn't work for me. I just like to be in and then out. I really only have like the first 2 hours of the morning, and then not that I'm timing myself. It's like you have to do it before the 2 hours. I'm just saying that ideally, I like to stick with the first 2 hours, and that's usually where you'll get the best price action, the best moves, and you'll know where the direction of the market is going. Buckwheat's VWAP doesn't show me the same view as yours. Do I need to change anything in settings? Um, huh. What time frame are you on, Leo? 5 minute. Oh, it's because we have market closed right now. So if you go to replay, like how I am right now, you'll see it. Um, I think you're on a different ticker. It depends on which ticker you're on. But if you go to replay, it'll show you that morning's VWAP levels. Missed that. Did he say calls below low of day? No, you would want calls above high of day for continuation. You literally want calls above New York VWAP, but continuation with calls, you want that above high of day VWAP, and vice versa. So if I keep going, if I stay below New York VWAP, we keep bouncing, 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 bouncing from this New York VWAP, and then we break below whatever low of day VWAP was on that trade, then that's usually a better entry. Okay, I changed it to NDX and it worked. Okay, great. Um, do you mark key supports and resistances to watch price action at those levels? Will you use them to enter trades? Yes. No. I use a 15-minute where we have like the 4 hour open, previous 4 hour low, previous 4 hour mid, and this is what I was going based off of because the previous 4 hours, man, we're up here close to Asia lows in the weeklies and the daily opens, and this is a more of a recent price action. So if we can't get above the previous 4 hour mid, then I'm shorting it. And then that's I believe that's exactly what we did. Didn't we short the market on Friday, or what did we do? Yeah, we did short it. So I guess those are the only like key levels I look at. I use Spaceman's BTC key level. That one's really good. So I don't mark anything myself unless I'm like looking at like um actual tickers like Microsoft, Tesla, NDX, SoFi, and then that's where I get into the nerdy, gritty shit like Fibonacci levels. And then we get into the Elliott wave theory, using the 50 and 200 MA. Then that's when I'll nerd out and do that. But for day trading, nah, I just keep it simple. What is this martingaling? What is that? Their trades. 5 minutes. Okay, change the ending. They use MES1 and not SPX chart, are both the same in trading view. I really like MES1. I don't know what the hell it is. It's just more consistent. Or not MES, but I use the ES chart to trade mainly. Obviously, it's not gonna be accurate, but if I'm like looking at different levels, like it just I don't know, something about it. I just use it. It's literally the same as every other one. Like if I get a US 100, like it's the same shit. Um, I feel like they're around the same price now, so not too different. The only thing I would say is definitely watch the price because they're like $10 difference. Um, so you don't want to buy a contract that's too high. Any changes to Spaceman key levels? Yeah, there's a lot of shit I don't use. I'll share it with you if you could DM me. Double down on losses if your win rate is below 50%, but still making money laugh out. Not smart to do by no means. Exactly. Okay. All right. Let's move on. I think it's time for us to move on. that pretty much covered um our first, proof trade. Oh no, it didn't because I didn't go over it. Okay, so let's get back on track, y'all. Let's see. How the hell do I? Here we go. All right, now that we can move on. Exits and trailing stops. So here are my exit rules. Your exit rules have to have an initial stop below the entry structure. So I usually exit 50% of my position at the target, whether that be low day, VWAP bound, whichever it might be. Asia highs, Asia low, depends. I never let a winner turn into a full loss, and I don't really like popcorn trades or a full donut trade. Donut trades are the worst, but popcorn trades are worse. So a popcorn trade is basically like you get into a trade, it goes up, you're up like 50%, it comes back down, and now you're in the negative. That's a popcorn trade. And then a donut trade is when you get up onto a contract, you're up like 50%, and then it comes back to 0%, you get stopped out. So no one's a fan of those. So that's why I trail my stops. So trailing the stop. Usually, if price jumps up very rapidly, I'll move the stop to, or I'll keep my stop loss. But if it starts structuring and it starts um, structuring a little by little, and there's actual buyers, coming in little by little, where market is actually moving, then I'll move my stop to break even, and then I'll trail behind each higher swing low. So I'll trail it with the 2 minute. And then that 2 minute structure is just for trail reference. Not every time I'll use it. If, just because price moved up a little bit, I'm not going to just automatically just trail it with the 2 minute. So with that being able to, you guys can't hear me. I'm not able to hear. I can hear. Can you record this? I believe C Blast is recording it. Okay, great. Um, Okay, so I'm not automatically trailing my levels with the 2 minute stop. I'll only do it if we have like a high breakout above our first take profit. Once I move above my profit, or where I'm gonna take my profit, then that's when I'll go ahead and start trailing with the 2 minute just to lock in as much as I can. So I use the 2 minute structure to trail because it just gives me a tighter read without letting noise shake me out randomly. And then let's see. Profit taken. I scale out. Like I said, I take 50% at each level, and I let 25% run with the trail stop. So let's say I have 10 NDX contracts, right? Take half of that off just so that I can lock in. If it goes lower, then at least I made something. And then I'll let the 25% run. If it keeps running, with the trail stop following behind it. And many of you are probably going to wonder, like, oh, but how's he doing on the chart? I'm just literally going with a line, like an imaginary line, and trailing the. Let's say let's say we're in calls, right? If it's a 2 minute structure, I'm following the lows, the wick lows, and then I just keep following, keep following, keep following until it stops, and then I get out of my trade. And then I usually will close all of it, and I'm out. So here's we'll go over we just talked about on the chart. So we're gonna hop back onto the chart. I know answering your guys' questions, I kind of got a little bit sidetracked, but here we go. So we had our entry right here, and so this is yesterday's trade. This is the one I took. So I entered right here on the close or on the open of the previous 4 hour mid. We opened below it on the 2 minute. So this is my confirmation to get in. like I said, we were ranging pretty well, and so I wanted to get into the 4 hour. We're already way above VWAP, so if we got a pullback, I would enter on shorts, and which we did. And so when we entered right here, I know you guys wanted me to go over this chop zone. It was pretty choppy, but I got in before we started getting the major chop. We had one direction, and then now I'm gonna take at least a move down. Once structure started breaking down, I entered right here, and then we trimmed at the opening range high, which is set in the first 15 minutes. So once we broke below that, I took a trim right there. I took half my position off, and then it came back up, and then it went back down, and it just kept breaking down. Once it broke the low day VWAP, that's when I was putting my limit order, and it broke down really quick, and then it hit VWAP. So I got probably like out around this area right here, and then once it bounced off of VWAP, I waited, and then it just bounced off, and then I got out. And then for that trade, you know, we actually profited $2,500. So what worked? 2 minute open below 4 hour mid range. We had a volume that confirmed momentum, and then we just trimmed profits based on key levels. So that's basically how I trimmed um, with it. So literally with the 2 minute, I put my 2 minute stop loss right here, and it hit it. Came back up and hit it, and I got out. And that was the trade of the day for Friday. And then here we go with the next one. We'll go over what didn't work. I believe we took this on. Oh, here's one that I messed up on. So not every trade is a winning trade, all right? I'm not some magical guru. So this was on Thursday. This is a trade I took that actually kind of smacked me in the face. I know I didn't trade on the actual NDX or SPX, and I traded on my futures account. So here's what happened. So first 15 minutes, just like always, I waited. Once we hit that 15 minutes, we actually went and hit VWAP. Kind of rejected above that or below that. Um, it failed to break out, came back down, went up, and I was like, okay, if we can get a bounce or a retracement back into VWAP, I'm gonna take this trade. It came back down, came back to VWAP. We got a nice candle right here, nice little hammer candle. Once we hit that, we got a, oh my God, this is something I completely ignored. This is a shooting star candle, and I completely ignored it because I believe I was just looking at the 5 minute, and even the 5 minute didn't look all that great. But I wanted to chase a move. I just wanted to get in before it kept going back up, and I'll get out at Asia Open. So this is my mistake. I didn't stick to my rule. I just wanted to chase a trade. And that morning star really just gave me a warning. It was like, bro, I'm telling you, like, don't risk it. I get it literally at this candle. It goes down, comes back up, and eventually we break down. We reject the high of low. Once we reject the high of day, come back down, break below VWAP, and I get stopped out like almost immediately. And dude, like that was embarrassing even for myself. Didn't stick to my rails, didn't stick to my trade. I tried to chase something that I knew that was gonna work out. I completely ignored these candles right here. And once we broke down below, oh my God, it just kept going and going and going. And eventually it did come back. But that's what happens when you chase it. But now that that was set, now that the day was set right here, where we know that we're going to reject the high day and the New York VWAP, you can see that it happens basically throughout the whole day. which is amazing. We just kept rejecting. So once you have that, you have your levels. I guess that doesn't really. You can see right here before momentum shifted on the BT cloud, we just kept having these lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs before getting a higher high, I guess, right here, and then we eventually started breaking down. So that was on Thursday, and I actually lost $251 from that. I know that's not crazy significant for most people, but that's you know still a loss to my books, and I don't really, losing is not fun in any realm. But hey, it is what it is, and that's exactly what happened to my trade, and I avoid it. Now, here are some common mistakes that everybody can avoid. Number one, chasing entries. Oh boy, this is exactly what I just did in that example right there. So, missing the setup and entering late out of FOMO. And then the best thing to do is just wait for the next one. I know a lot of you are in chat like, hey, like, how do I, or do you still recommend I get into this trade? Or, you're trying to chase entries and you're trying to get, I guess, reassurance before you get into something. And that could be deadly for you. I used to do that. Number two, ignoring the stop. So if you have a stop loss or if you have a risk parameter, if you hold past your defined invalidation, one bad trade can erase literally a week's worth of gains. And that's the worst feeling ever. You'll be up a week, you'll be like, yeah, I'm up $3,000. Like, holy crap. I'm thinking about getting a yacht, I'm thinking about getting a new car, a new house. And then you're like, screw it. If I can make $3,000 in a week, I can make 6,000. So you size up and bam, you have hopium. You think that the stop is invalid, or your stop doesn't matter. So it just keeps going lower and lower and lower and lower. You just keep hoping, and eventually you're out 6,000, $7,000 from being up 3,000 to being in the negative now. So never ignore your stops. There's always another entry, another trade. And then, like, number three, over trading, taking low quality setups to make back losses. So just like ignoring the stops, you'll be like, okay, I lost half of my portfolio. I can make it back. I can make it back. You might take another trade. You might lose a little bit. You're like, okay, well now I won't ignore my stop. So you, so you actually listen to yourself. You listen to the stop. It stops you out, and then you're like, oh, but all these other people are trading and they're making money in the chat, and you're looking at chat, and then you get back in and you lose again, and then you keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and just like compounding gains, you're compounding losses. So quality over quantity always. You guys see it in my trades every single morning for the first 2 hours. Dude, I'm never trading more than two or three trades a day. And it's usually just the first 2 hours and I'm out. I'm out. That because I used to be like this. These are all the telltale signs that you're not going to be a profitable trader. And number four, trading against the trade. Jeez, oh my god, there's so many times where I try to time top or try to time the bottom. Fading the 15-minute trend without confidence. The trend is basically your highest probability edge, especially if you're using BT Cloud. If you don't know what the heck the trend is going to, um, so trading against the trend. So if sellers are in control for the whole day, and we're trading below all VWAPs, why the heck are you buying calls? You're gonna lose more money than you actually gain. Like, if anything, you should be buying shorts. And even then, I literally would even chase that, because that's chasing at the end of the day. The move already happened. You're like, oh well, sellers obviously, and I'm just gonna short the market, and you'll get humbled real quick, either direction, whether it be calls or shorts. So like I said, I just wait for confirmation. I like it clean. I like it structured. It works for me. It's made me hundreds of thousands of dollars within the shortest span of my entire existence. And so I trust it. I trust it. It works. Okay. So let's wrap this up, and then we're going to have some resources for you guys. Um, so, key takeaways from this live session. So, number one, structure and confluence beats guessing every single time. And number two, you have to have a defined risk before entry, always, and never forget that. Always have a plan to enter and always have a plan to exit. Number three, your VWAP plus opening range. That's my core execution edge. You'll always see me in chat. Hey, you know, I'm bullish for today. Oh, I'm waiting for opening range, and that's just based off VWAP and opening range. So I wait for the first 15 minutes. If we break above it, then I'm using the opening range breakout method, and very often it will continue with momentum. I trail stops protecting our profits mechanically. So just like a machine, I'm just right behind it. Next 2 minute candle opens. I'm on the previous one on the low, waiting and waiting until that one closes, and then I move it on up. That one closes, I move it on up. And then if it closes below it, then I get stopped out. But guess what? I locked in as much profit as I possibly can. And very often over time, you'll lock in more profits than if you just ignore that 2 minute trail stop and then you just let it run back down. And then you have a full 180. You'll have your donut trade or your popcorn trade. So that's why I trail my stops rather than limiting it. Now, if I'm limiting my orders because fuck, like the stock is jumping like crazy, but I you just got to stick with your rules and what works. Discipline is really the edge. Follow your rules. Have a set of rules. Have a little post-it note on your on your computer screen and like completely look past it and never look at it. I've never done the sticky note method, but I know some people who have. And also, dang, I just had something on my mind right now that I completely forgot. It'll come back to me. So the next steps, if you're completely new and you don't know really how to trade this method or this strategy, I will say, because we're professionals here, you have to treat it like a professional job. You have to treat it like, hey, this is something that could literally make me six figures a month, a year, whatever your goals are. And if you really want to get great at this, you should be just sizing with one contract positions using this exact structure. And I'll always preach this because you don't have to go in with the same amount of contracts that I'm going in. It's a freaking challenge at the end of the day. I'm not saying that we're gonna be at 50K by the end of the month. No one knows. We could hit another black swan event. I'll get taken out and I'll be back like a week or two. You know what I mean? And what I always preach is if you have $10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, you shouldn't really be trading with a big portion of your size, especially if this is something you're testing out. Whenever you're testing, what I learned in business is you always want to test first because if you go all in on a business that may not even freaking work, that idea that you may have that sounds great and all, but until you actually go in and try it and test it, then you won't know if it actually works. So treat it like a business. Um, join Tread Echo live sessions. I'm sure many of you do see blast in the and hopefully I get to do Trade Echo live sessions more often and just go over real time trades. I think that would be more helpful because going over trades, honestly, a lot of data gets like forgotten. You don't really see me in action. Um, I'm more of a hands on type of guy. I like being hands on and just being there in the moment where I'm trading, where I'm actually telling you guys how I'm doing it. But type in with one hand because I'm freaking I'm crippled right now is very very hard and to go on my entry on my phone because I execute everything on my phone and go back and type it. It gets complicated and there's a reason why I want to do the live sessions because that literally just breaks the barrier. Um, review this session recording. I know it got pretty long, but that's okay. That's why we have a recording, and you can just skip through what parts you missed. Because if I went over every single question again and went backtracked, it's gonna get very very long. We'll be here all day. I could be here all day, but I know you guys have things to do. So build your own personal trade journal. I personally use TradeZella. um, it it connects directly with your brokerage, and it shows all your entries, and then you can write down what you did for the day. And if you don't want to do TradeZella, let's say well, I'm not trying to spend more money, then just mark up like how I did on TradingView. That's the easiest method to journal your trades. I know mine aren't like very specific and then not in the nitty gritty details, and they should be, but I don't really backtest at all. So those trade journals just show you exactly where you went, what you messed up on, and as always, you have your TradeEcho resources at tradeecho.com. You have the platform, the tools, the Gex levels. You have Algo Edge, and then we have our Discord community here. Let's do those live chats, and we have the alerts, we have the challenges. It's very fun. You have the Trade Echo YouTube channel. You can watch this session replay, and then we'll do more education. I know a lot of you want more education, so we'll go ahead and do more of that. And then Trade Echo app is the Twitter/X, where um, C Blast is posting daily market commentary on his account as well. So yeah, guys, this has been great. Let's see if you guys have any more questions. So unmute or drop in chat. I don't know why I put unmute because I keep forgetting that you guys can't talk in here. So let's close this out strong. Do you use GEX levels to gain insight into where market makers want price to go? Yes, and yes, and yes. Slow and steady is the way. Yes, always. If only one contract can scale, so might overstay, you're welcome, or leave the tour. Yeah, I could see that happening. But look, if you're doing one contract and you see it working consistently for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you're profitable every single week, why wouldn't you want to scale it? You know what I mean? You know it works. You're only risking one contract every single time. So if you're risking one contract every single time, what is there to really lose? Unless that's your whole portfolio, then by all means, don't even day trade. Don't even do 0 day to expiry trades. Um, you should go ahead and try futures. Futures that's really really good for people who have low capital. And I've proven that day and day. I started only like what $200 on the futures just so I can make YouTube content and Instagram content. And man, I took 3 payouts, and then they moved me to live because I guess I was a profitable trader, and now I trade with live capital features. And then I'm looking for a partnership with Top One Features. So it's there's different ways. One contract is not the worst case scenario. So how do you incorporate the MA50 and the 200? I can go over that if I'm doing swing trading. I'll show you guys exactly and how I caught the 50, not the 50K, how I caught the 60, $70,000 move from Bitcoin going down. I was preaching it in trade analysis, talking about, oh my God, like we're at $110,000 and now we're at 100,000. We broke the 200 MA, and that doesn't really, we broke the 50 weekly moving average. And once we broke below that, I was like, okay, based on my Fibonacci level, we're going to 70K. And it actually went below my 70K. So I'm not always right. And I thought 70K was steep. Um, and same thing with him. So I thought the fair price was $23. And guess what? It's way lower than that. What exactly do you mean by trailing stop on 2 minute candle? Can you please explain with detail on how you place this orders? Yeah, so I'm looking macro on the 15 and the 5 minute. So basically, if I'm in a trade already and I see that stock keeps going up, going up, and going up, and I already took my first 50% off. Let's say I was going from a VWAP bounce. I get in on that VWAP, and then I see the opening range high still above us. So I get out at the opening range high with 50% of my position. And if it keeps running up, I'm tailing that on the 2 minute time frame. So each candle represents 2 minutes. And with that 2 minute candle, I'm trailing with a line, like a line on trading view. It's not an actual stop loss, it's just where I want to look to get out of a trade. So by trailing it, I'm literally following each 2 minute candle, not the one that's currently open, but the previous candle. And if it closes before, if it closes below that previous 2 minute candle, I'm out with my whole position so that I can lock in all my profits. How long have you traded versus this system? Any way you can show your run through how you dynamically adjust the trials or trails? My stops are killing me. Um, how long? Oh man, I started trading back in 2020, and just long story short, I was more of a chaser. But like, hey, like, you got any calls? You got any plays for me? I'll go ahead and hop on. I'll throw $500. Holy shit, I was fucking money into a fire pit. I might as well give that to charity. I mean, I wish I gave that to charity instead. But it was the tuition to smack me directly in the face and be out my rent money and my savings and all that until finally I was like, I'm just gonna take. I'm walking away. So I quit. I freaking quit, and then I came back in April. Um, I made some money with my law firm. I saved up, and then one of my old buddies was like, "Hey, you should get into the stock market again." I was like, I don't know. I was so skeptical. And he was like, if not, fuck it, just get into crypto. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really want crypto. And then he showed me like Robinhood and all this, and yeah, cool, cool, cool. Let me get into it. And I was still chasing calls, and then I just remember like he's telling me to watch these specific people on Twitter. So I get on Twitter space, I'm going through, and then I just see C Blast posting, like SPX, XXXX, this date, this expiry, blah blah blah. I'd jump in, I'd make money. I was like, oh shit, I made money. He just kept posting and posting, and I was just like, dude, I'm making money. And then I saw on his bio, I didn't know he was doing like trade echo stuff. And then after like following him for like a month and some change, I joined in August, and then still also chasing. I did the challenges, the 2K, et cetera, et cetera. And then, long story short, I wasn't very profitable. And then I just slapped myself in the face. I was like, you need to start fucking making change, because without change, you're never going to make money. You're just going to keep losing and losing and losing. Like you're literally a blind person walking um, into like a wishing well or whatever. And, that I guess it took me a while to actually start learning. And this system, I started it when I first started learning. So I guess around like, yeah, I guess around like June, July is when I started experimenting with the whole VWAP ordeal. I know a couple of people here recommended VWAP, but then it wasn't really telling me all much. So then, just I realized that it was anchored, because I was like, auto anchored VWAP. What exactly does that mean? What the heck is auto anchored? And then I would go through the settings, and I didn't know they into different places. So my fingers got so tired of going to the chart, anchoring to different things, and I'm like, wait, what was the other one? Going back and forth, and that was kind of messing me up. So I was like, why don't I just code something where it shows all of them, and then you can turn off the ones that are irrelevant trades. And yeah, that's pretty much how long it took me to actually evolve the system. And until recently, it's made me become more successful. Do any platforms let me trade options off chart versus setting orders manually? I don't believe so. You just got to look at the chart. Oh, actually, yes. Robinhood Legend. That's what Dark Horse uses to trade SPX. Do you enter trailing stops loss manually or use it off trading? Um, I guess both, because oh, I guess oh, okay, I get what you mean. So with options, I am doing it manually. I'm just looking at the chart like a hawk, and then I'll just get out if I get filled. I get just gotta lower it, but I usually set it a little bit. Um, and then trading view, I only use that with features. If current 2 minute falls below previous you are out. Yes, indicates trend reversal. Block and profit and get the hell out. Got it. Thanks. Yes, of course. Can you post settings in the chat for your indicators? My indicators, like the buckwheat one, I actually made a video on. You guys want to go ahead and check that one out? Oh, the spaceman. Let me actually. All right, we got room for a couple more questions that you guys have, and then I do have to run. Today's a beach day. Gonna go out with my sister and my daughter, kids. Very fun. Did I switch to my chart? Let me know if you guys can see that. Try that. So space my and I'll keep posting. I'll keep posting my chart on the buckwheat challenge, and then if you guys would like, I do have a link tree bio. So I have a YouTube channel. I don't really like shouting out my stuff, C Blast's Discord, because obviously it's his stuff. But if you guys are more interested, DM me or just look through my YouTube. I'm trying to post more. You guys actually gave me inspiration to start posting content. So it's always fun. I love the educational side of things. Um, by no means am I an expert. I'm pretty new to this, same as you guys. But obviously, this is just what works for me. Proud to be here with you guys and constantly learning and engaging with the community. C Blast has done an amazing job with this community, and I've never been more impressed. This dude works like nobody else. I can for sure say that. Stir Chef, I'm sending you the current things right now. Okay, I'll take a few more questions. Let's see. I can see yes. Sorry, didn't hear if you responded. When you chart 4 hour mid, is that an indicator or you said? Oh yes, it's the indicator with Spaceman BTC levels. So if I I customized it where it will show only visibility. So I don't use it in seconds, hours, days, weeks, or months. I literally just use it on the. It just There's just too much noise. I like to keep my charts clean. So yes, previous 4 hour mid has quarterly, yearly open, Asia high, Asia open. You can see we projected the quarterly, yearly open. You can see Asia open right here at right here. We got the daily open, previous 4 hour high for Asia low. So we here you projected Asia low a couple times as well. 15 minute previous 4 hour low, monthly open, weekly open. This week we're way below all key levels. So that just screams a um, bear market, not bear market, bear day, bearish day. All right. Anything else you guys want to go over? Is there anything else you guys want to head on it? I hope you guys learned a lot. You know, this was very fun. I'm super grateful you guys wanted me on stage, and this is gonna be great. We're still on that road $1,000. from a mere $10,000. So this is a true trading journey that you guys can also do. You guys will learn so much, and I promise you guys will be better traders every single day. You guys will keep learning. You guys will keep educating yourselves. For you that stuck around and wanted to learn more and more, man, I promise you guys will can make it into this market. And so did I. I'm not the smartest person. I I'm a knucklehead. I'm somebody who came from blue collar work and decided I don't want to do blue collar work. I want to stay out the sun. So I'm super happy you guys tuned in, and thank you guys so much. It's been my pleasure. Find me in the chat. Find me in the challenge. If you have any more questions, any more concerns, find me in my DMs and I'll respond as soon as possible. Sometimes I don't see my message requests, they do get lost, and I don't get notifications for it on Discord. So just at me in chat. Don't hesitate, don't be shy. Just at me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And thank you guys for being here. You guys have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the time with your family. And happy trading. See you guys Monday.